Hello. Alright.
Did you say?
No. Guys, this is my sister Jess. She runs a makeup channel if you'd like to check her out. Her username is Porcelain Doll Shade 105. I'll link her channel below. Thanks. Hello, I am Grace. And welcome to Liv and Grace Read Books. As you can see, I am flying solo today, and that is because I am doing a book review / discussion, whatever you like to call it, and that book is Soundless by Richelle Mead. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how pretty this cover looks? There we go. Oh, okay. This is Richelle Mead's latest novel. It is a standalone fantasy, which I find very fascinating, as all of her others are series, and it is very hard to come by a standalone fantasy. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through the book. This half of the video is spoiler free. I'll let you know when I'll go into more depth about the book, but for now, stay tuned and listen in. So basically we follow main character Faye, and she lives in a village on top of a mountain. The mountain has been blocked from the rest of society, so they have to fend for themselves. A little community that doesn't really make any contact with the outside world. This village is also soundless, so everyone is deaf and they use sign language to communicate with each other, hence the name Soundless. So it's been a silent town for generations and nobody exactly knows why. There are myths and legends about how their sound disappeared, and records to show what sound sounds like, words to describe sound, just in case someone managed to regain their hearing. There are three main jobs in this town: an artist, a miner, and a supplier. And basically that's their rank. So the artist has the highest level of importance, followed by the miners and then the suppliers. So the artists paint the previous day's records, so kind of like a newspaper, and display it to the rest of the town so they can view what is happening, seeing as they can't hear. Faye and her sister Zhang Jing are also artists. They were the first ones in their family. Their parents and family before were actually miners, and the miners have the job of mining the metals out of the caves and sending them down to the township in order for food. So they exchange their important metals for food, and that's how they survive, because their village is unable to grow crops or livestock to live. So to paint the records of the previous day, the artists have to basically observe what is going on throughout the entire course of the day. So Faye's position is actually near the mine. So she observes what is happening, how much metal is coming out, and she paints that the next day and shows it to the rest of the village. So they've kind of got this system going where if they get enough metal, they will get their food. So they are living a cycle where they have to continue to mine or they will grow hungry. Although there has been a problem of miners beginning to lose their sight. So it's been happening one by one and gradually over time, and they start getting like blurry eyes, and then they just continue to develop these symptoms, and then after a while they go completely blind. And because they can't mine, they can't paint, or they can't supply anything, they basically become useless and they become beggars on the street and don't really get any food, any water, or any shelter of any kind. Faye's sister, Zhang Jing, is also a painter, like I said previously, but she also begins to show symptoms and effects of losing her sight as well. And seeing as the artists are very high ranked and are expected to be very good at what they do, Zhang Jing's work gradually gets worse, and Faye has to help her, otherwise she will lose her position as an artist and she'll have to become a miner or a beggar. Because the miners have started to lose their sight, their work is getting more dangerous and they aren't able to produce as much metal as normal. So their food supply is also getting lower and lower, and people are starting to really go hungry, and it's become a massive, massive controversy through the whole town, and nobody really understands why the miners are losing their sight and why no one else is apart from Faye's sister. I started to get a Titanic-y sort of feeling because they are in classes. So the artists get the most of the food that they have, and the miners get less and the suppliers get less, so on and so on. Three separate ranks aren't allowed to interact. They're allowed to communicate as villagers, but they're not allowed to get married or have a friendship really with one another. They have to marry and become friends with people of their own kind. And one morning after a very peculiar dream, Faye wakes up and suddenly has sound. She can hear. And she doesn't understand what is happening because she's never heard surrounding sound before, and she's really confused and she doesn't know why she's the only one in her entire village who can hear. But of course no one else can understand because they don't know what it's like to hear, so she still continues to use her sign language with everyone else and doesn't really tell anyone about her hearing. So with the decreasing food supply, people are going hungry, people are starving, more people are going blind and becoming beggars. And one of Faye's old friends, Lai Wei, who is a miner, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce his name, Lai Wei, oh well, that's how I say it. He decides that something needs to be done about this problem and he wants to go and seek help in the township. And because Faye is the only one in the village who can hear, she thinks it is plausible to help him, and they go off on an adventure together and try and seek refuge in the rest of the town in order to save her village from this devastating hunger. Alright, so that is basically the synopsis of the book. I am going to start talking about my opinions and my questions that I have. So if you have not read the book yet, I would advise you not to keep watching. Go read it first and then come back. So, spoilers now, happening now. Spoilers are happening now. First I'm going to talk about the things that interested me throughout the novel. So there's a game that Lai Wei and Faye play on their adventure, and I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Zanki, I don't know. It sounds like some sort of adaptation of chess or checkers or something, but I found it really interesting, the different positions and players that are in the game, and the fact that Lai Wei carves these pieces and is obviously very good at doing that. The importance of the game to their culture, how it obviously plays a big importance in their world because Lai Wei gives Faye the name of the most important piece, the general, and he calls her that as a nickname. So I just really wanted to know a bit more about it, even just a little tiny bit of a backstory behind the game. I liked what I heard about it in the book. The next thing that really interested me was Lai Wei and Faye's relationship, because obviously you see in the start of the book that something happened between them before they were separated into their categories of artist and miner, and because they aren't allowed to interact as friends or as girlfriend and boyfriends, kind of a bit of tension there. And I really wanted to know what happened, because Faye is so adamant about not wanting to be with him, but she actually really loves him. But there is some history behind that that you just don't find out about, and I really wanted to know more about their previous relationship. So did something happen between them when Faye's parents died? Was it because she is an artist and he's a miner? Or was it something more? Like, I just would really like to know. I also found it really interesting when Faye is surprised to see a plump man. It was funny because she comes from a village where food is so scarce and that everyone's really skinny and thin, that she just never seen someone with a bit of weight on them before. So she was really like, oh my god, that man is fat. The next thing that interested me was the history of the Pixiu, or the mythical creature. Not sure if that's how you pronounce it again, it's how it's spelt, so I'm just going with the flow. It was really interesting to me. I loved the Chinese folklore aspect of this particular creature and how it could help the village. Especially when Lai Wei was carrying around the little statue for good luck. You didn't really know much about the Pixiu at that point in time until the end of the book did you really find out about it. So it was really intriguing to find out where it was leading to with the knowledge and the power that this creature had. Another thing I picked up on is when Lai Wei and Faye are in the township, basically standing in the line waiting to get into the town centre, and she realizes the animosity of the town people and how greedy and aggressive they were towards each other, and especially the guards, and how they were really degrading to the people and the servants that they were letting through. They were really rude and trying to be so much more superior than the servants and the suppliers and the merchants and the traders, and it just overpowered the role that they were supposed to play. Like, it just made you really dislike them. And coming from Faye, who's never seen that kind of greed before, or power thirst, coming from her village where everyone knows each other and everyone is subtle and kind. One of the questions that I did have throughout the first half of the book was the loss of hearing in the village. Like, was it a disease? Like, did they lose their hearing first and then later on they're beginning to lose their sight? in the miner's case, like were they going to lose any other feelings or sensations, like this, like smell. Like we didn't really know where that was going, but then it was revealed that the metal was causing those symptoms and disease, so it was, my question was answered there. Another aspect that I liked was the Chinese folklore. I thought it was done really, really well, especially because of the use of sign language and not actually using dialogue. It made it really believable and realistic to follow. Another question that I had through the inn scene was the bowl and the importance of the bowl that smashed that belonged to the innkeeper. And we got told the story by Zhu Mei, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the name, but that the servant was half beaten to death because of this broken ornament. Like what was the importance? Was it something to do with their culture? Was it beliefs, or was it religion? You just don't really find out about that at all. I thought it did hold some importance to the story, as Faye had to work really hard to recreate that bowl to save everyone in the inn's life, basically. A really cute moment that I found was when Lai Wei was supporting Faye when she was painting the bowl, like going, oh yeah, she's really good, she's like the best artist in our village kind of thing, and I just thought it was so cute because that's like the first intimate moment that they share towards other people, and you could really see the love that Lai Wei had for Faye, and I thought it was just really cute. One of the biggest questions and suspicions that I had was Lai Wei, because he just sounded throughout the whole thing, especially the end, that when he was talking about leaving the village and going off on their own, I was like, do you really want to abandon your village and your people? He just wanted to leave the mission of helping and finding food for their entire town. That it kind of seemed sus to me. I was like, did you come down here to escape? Did you know that it was going to be like a big world for you to live in? Like what? I wasn't really sure, but I did find it a bit suspicious. And the last thing that I found pretty funny was when Faye picked up one of the soldiers' swords at the end, and she had never held a sword before, and she just totally whipped that guy's ass and was just really, really cool. Especially, as she said, the sword was heavy, so I just thought it was like a really badass moment for her. So that's basically all of the interesting things that appealed to me and the questions that I had. I did really think that it was a good standalone fantasy novel compared to some of the ones I've read. I did really like the Chinese folklore aspect. I've never read anything like it. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but some of the story just didn't really appeal to me, but the things I have mentioned did. So for that I gave it a 3. If you are in the mood for some fantasy, especially a standalone that you can just read and get over and done with, this is definitely something that you should pick up. But in saying that, I think it could have a sequel. I think there is more information that needed to be revealed about the characters. My neighbour has just decided to use the chainsaw next door, so apologies for the background noise. I'll wrap this up nice and quick. But like I said, I do think that there could have been more information about the characters, the village, and the culture and religion of this Chinese folklore kind of aspect. There could have been more of that in there. It could have a sequel, like the ending does have the potential to carry on, but I think it was nice where it left off. I did like the ending, everyone comes together, and I just think that it was a very interesting and original story to read. So with that being said, this is the end of my video. Thank you for watching. We will have some more up soon. Possibly a November wrap up, December TBR kind of thing. Hope you guys have a great week. See you in our next video.